The original door of no return was very short and narrow, such that one person could walk through at a time. Should you go to the Elmina Castle, you see the original door of no return. And this now was enlarged because this place became the seat of government. Here in Ghana, Cape Coast was the capital town, but the governor's seat was relocated to March 1877 because of political and economic reasons. And so, as our ancestors used this door to the Americas, to the Caribbean islands, to the West Indies, they were not expected to come back to Africa. They lost their identity, properties that they had in Africa, they lost everything. They lost contact with family members. Today, we are using the same door of no return. However, you are assured that we shall return.
This came from Senegal, but
So again, the ships could not come to this part of the shore because this part is shallow. And so they used smaller boats to convey them and then transferred them onto the ships. They were packed like sardines and that they died in their numbers. Those who died were thrown into the ocean for the fishing field. With that were found sick and weak, they call it thrown into the ocean. Straight about a month. And then before the wind blew them. Depending on the direction of the wind, the weather began on to the destination. 23 years ago, Ghana celebrated the first Freedom Day to commemorate the end of slavery. The occasion was that the Great Time. During that celebration, two of our ancestors were exhumed from their graves and were brought back to the castle. They were exhumed from Jamaica and then New York. Some were castled from New York, Madame Crystal from Jamaica. Through airplane, they brought them to Kotoka International Airport. Through the land, they got a community called Abanze. Through the ocean, they came back to the castle through this law. Here in the castle, a ceremony was performed. After that ceremony, they were taken back to Asenemansu, where they took their last African bath for burial. So whenever you go to the Asenemansu slave market, you will see those graves covered there. Some were Canson's grave and then Madame Crystal's grave. Asenemansu is on the Cape Coast Kumasi Highway. So about 45 minutes drive from here, depending on how fast you drive. Their homecoming is symbolic. It is to break the idea of no return so that our brothers and sisters in the diaspora
Hey, you need water? I'm catching back up with my guy right now. That's the door of no return right there. Door of no return. On the other side, they made it the door of return. And this was pretty much a torture place of torture for the black woman down this end. This is a hell. And he's described something. He was like, you know, they had the church. The church is right here in the background. That was the church right there. So the church was right over the initial male slave dungeons, which led all the way down here to the door of no return, right? So they would have their Sunday, you know, sessions going on, and people were suffering, living in their own defecation, their own vomit. You know, people died, millions and millions of people died down in these tunnels between there and right by the door of no return. They had the women, and they would force they would rape the women there, have children by them. Oh man, it's just crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. And that took place here in this slave castle, and we see more cells here. So this was one of the cells I was in earlier today, so we're going back over there to look at it. He's gonna...
No, it's buckets.
Alright. So, condemned cell, right?
Yo, hey. You don't need to. You don't need to go down here.
attempt of fighting for their freedom. Some made an attempt of escaping. Those who made such an attempt were caught and were condemned in here. No water, no source of ventilation, no food, no light. Through suffocation and starvation, they struggled and died. As they died, they were thrown into the ocean for the fishes to eat them up. 3 doors, 2 have been removed, only 1 left. And even the 1 door left, let's where they eat in here. This suggests that yes, our ancestors went through hell. They went through pains and difficulties. May their souls rest in perfect peace. And we made us move on.
Wow.
Many of our ancestors. This is the condemned cell. Let me see. This is the condemned cell. And many of our ancestors were put here if you tried to escape to die. I mean, it's already hot here. I couldn't imagine. But let's get a moment of silence for our ancestors, man. I mean, it really takes a lot to keep your composure. You know, just thinking about the people that went through this, and we can't let that be in vain. We can't let it be in vain at all. Look, I'm sweating. I'm already sweating. So if you try to escape or fight or rebel, they put you in here to die. And he was explaining none of the stuff was excavated. So our ancestors, we're on top of our ancestors in these dungeons. Their bodily fluids, all of that stuff is compacted there, and their blood, their sweat. This place right here should be holy ground. It really should be a holy place, and it should have more support, you know. However, it's here. At least we can come and see, you know, a part of our history being in America. So okay.
Right. Palabra is a Portuguese word. It means to bargain, to negotiate, to talk. So as about among other European groups in exchange from our ancestors. The bond of 1844, which paved the way for the British to colonize this country 130 years, was signed over here. Important meetings were held over here. Therefore, the history of Ghana and then also the history of the transatlantic slave trade cannot be complete without talking about this hall.
So in this hall, they pretty much, this is where they bargained or they sold the slaves.
This is the market.
There was the market right there.
When they brought them here, this is where everyone selected his pick.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Hey, don't do that to me. Hey, you are my sister. If you fall out.
Wow. The fort. This is the fort.
I also mentioned that Methodist Church started in the country around 1835 as the most, that is the first Methodist church building in the country, the one behind the mast with the green roof. We have Roman Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church at the extreme end, and that because of the Methodist Church here in particular, this part of Cape Coast is called Chapel Square. Chapel Square. And here we have Fort William on the hill, built around 1820. English soldiers were there 24/7 to protect the castle both inland and offshore. Where we have the shops was the soldiers' barracks. English soldiers were here 24/7 to protect the castle. Prisons in the country started from there after the abolition of the slave trade.
Prison. Yeah. After slavery, of course. That's how the U.S.
Let's see George McLean's story.
So the barracks right down there, the soldier barracks were down there, and right after slavery, he said that's when they began the prison system. Okay, that was McLean Hall. He had back there his bedroom. So this is the governor's bedroom hall. If these walls could talk, like he was sharing, if these walls could talk.
That's the bedroom to the governor's bedroom.
This is the governor's hall. Wow.
See, look at the windows. Look at the windows. How many windows?
Yeah.
You can count it.
Wow.
And you put people down there suffering, crying.
That's the nature. The nature of the beast, they say.
Governor's bedroom. One governor lived here at the time.
One governor lives here.
The difference is between this place and the dungeon. Think about it. You might affect so much as far as the subject matter is concerned. Once again, governor's bedroom. Let's see the governor's reception area. Straight up on the hill, you see the fort. You see the fort on the hill.
The fort on the hill?
Soldiers stood here to receive signals from soldiers up there. They used flag, mirror, and then Morse code to communicate. Flag in the morning, mirror in the afternoon, Morse code in the evening. Communication room.
So from this window to where? The church there?
No, on top of
On the hill.
Can I see?
Oh, the one on the hill.
On
the
the
fort.
hill,
The
yeah.
fort. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to the fort.
You can see it better from this angle. On the
Okay.
hill. Yeah.
All right. At the top?
On the hill.
Yeah, slight one.
Wow. Can I see?
Yes.
Governor's reception room. Yes, they used to entertain themselves right here. They used to take the astronauts. Look at this space. Look at the number of people here. Compare the situation here with the situation down there. Think about
Of course, yes.
it. Think about it. Now let's conclude as the first English.
The first English church here, and this is right over the primary slave dungeon. This is the church. Children's library.
So this was the church. Church of England, the church name to Anglican Church. The church is now children's library. Methodist church started in the 40s. Church here, captives. We saw this whole when we were in the third chamber of the middle dungeon. Somebody stood here to monitor the activities of the captives. Any questions, comments, observations, input?
So you can see right down there the slaves.
Yeah.
They go to church.
Yeah, when they open it, you can
Uh-huh.
see.
Right. So as you said, up here was the heaven and down there was the hell.
Hell.
Think about that. This all the people suffering the conditions down there. You know, the vomit, the feces, and they're living in the deplorable condition right here, like pigs and animals. And then they're coming up and going to church here. And the God up here didn't have enough power to free them down there. Maybe the God up here had them down there, and I think that's what it is. And we see it today. It's still, the God has still got his hand over. It's not as deplorable, but in some conditions, it's deplorable.
Yeah, so other questions, comments, observations, input, lessons. Yeah, so before we depart, let me draw attention to the fact that though slave trade was abolished in less than 1833, yet slavery is ongoing in so many forms. Today we can still talk of child labor, we can talk of forced labor, forced marriages. We can talk of mental or psychological slavery, political slavery, religious slavery, economic slavery, academic slavery, voluntary slavery, and so on and so forth. Now, addressing these forms of slavery call for multi-stakeholder approach. What I mean is that individuals, you and I, have a role to play in this exercise. Governments across the globe have a role to play. Civil society groups have a role to play. Media has a role to play. Academia has a role to play. As cultural heritage site guide, I also have a role to play. I think that as individuals, wherever we find ourselves, regardless of our race, regardless of our skin color, regardless of our religious affiliation, regardless of our political affiliation, let us see ourselves as one people created by the same creator, no matter what. So for us, we are human beings, somebody will serve the other. But then somebody serving you doesn't mean that you should treat the person as a slave. Let's respect one another. Treat each other with fairness and equality justice. Let whatever potential that God has given to each of us, let's value it and be self-reliant. Let us be transformed by the renewal of our minds. Because until we change the way we think, some of us will forever be in chains as slaves. Until we change the way we think, some of us will forever enslave others. Let's educate ourselves. Having gone through the dungeons doesn't mean that we should begin to hate one another. The truism is that hating one another wouldn't solve the problem. Shifting blames on others wouldn't solve the problem. Rather, let's come together and fight against slavery in our society. Let's all join hands and campaign against slavery in our society. Because together we stand, divided we fall. The impact of one, there can be a change. Therefore, as individuals in our own small way, let us go out there and be the agents of change that we want to see today our country. On that note, I want to appreciate you for your time with me. My name has been Kofi Esau. It's been beautiful having you as my guest. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a fruitful afternoon.
Thank you.